Ta-da! Across the world and through the little tinfoil. It is. It does. There.
That was awesome. That was
I guess.
There was tin toy.
I
It
feel
had.
like it should go do.
It should.
Because telegraphs.
Sorry,
used to have important things.
we're off to a bit of a slow start because just about the time I should have hit let's go live, I started sneezing and coughing and wild abandon. We thought we'd spare you that.
Her SPM has gone up. That sneeze per minute, and if you were to graph it, you'd find it alarming.
Woo, it's off the chart.
Okay, so we're so I'm just gonna do.
I'm gonna slip off to the side
the
and
show in
snorkel.
between sneezes, and and she's gonna.
I'll be here snorkeling.
She's gonna contact the universe while I do it because this is called "This Is Now." Bridge to a Better World. And I'm Teresa Mitchell, and that's Ani Haynes.
It's not this
Me, Ani
is
Haynes.
soon. This is now.
This is now.
Now.
That's Ani goddamn Haynes over there. So I'm going to read from my teleprompter again because my Hewlett Packard printer is still being viciously starved of ink. I refuse to give it any ink because I give it ink and it says, "Oh, that's not good enough." But I've told you about that before. So it's still going on. And, I'll just have to
get a new printer is what we'll have to do.
I want a new printer. And also, I want to take this. I seriously want to take this to BLM land and do something explosive with it. But anyway, because it'd be so satisfying. Come on, a baseball bat's just not enough.
I was going to say, it's kind of like from Office Space with the fax machine.
I just soak it with gasoline or something. Anyway. So this is now a bridge to a better world, a better world through violence to appliances. And I want to start with a few sort of headlines. In episode 3 of Don't Fuck with a Mouse, Disney Corporation has announced that they won't be spending $1 billion on a new Florida mega development after all. I mean, they would have had a hell of a time building this thing because so many of the carpenters have left town because Ron DeSantis says that they can't work there anymore because they're not perfectly legal. And the deal that has been in effect forever that, they work twice as hard for half as much. And everybody's happy, I suppose. Not really. It's not good enough anymore. And because white people are so much better, basically, this is the basis of his argument, whether he admits it or not. They can't work anymore, and they're gone. The burbs that have been expanding for the last 70 years in Florida have suddenly stopped expanding, and the tap, tap, tap of the happy hammers has gone away. Ron DeSantis games with Disney continue to suck money out of the state as the Magic Kingdom pulled the magic out of a new office development. With a wave from Tinkerbell's wand, it was gone. Next move will have to come from Mr. Shiny White Boots. But it seems Ron DeSantis isn't the only fascist pushing people around using public transportation. The New York Times has video. They have busted the Greek government actually putting migrants in a rubber raft and abandoning them in the sea without a motor. There are details, of course, but that's the whole story, really. Fascist, anti-immigrant, racist cruelty is pandemic these days, as is pollen. There's global warming is happening, and
pollen, you say?
Ani's filtering it for you right now. Hi, John. Glad you could join us. The most extreme summer heat wave ever recorded in North America buckled roads and triggered a spike in emergency department visits in the Pacific Northwest U.S. in 2021. And when I read that, I thought, wait, wasn't that 2020? I just wanted it to be longer ago, I guess. China suffered its most severe heat wave on record last year. It was so widespread and long-lasting, stretching out more than 70 days, that it was likely also the most severe heat spell ever documented in the world. According to weather historian Maximiliano Herrera, another record-smashing heat wave in July of last year sent temperatures in the notoriously cool and cloudy UK soaring above 40 degrees Celsius for the first time. So we're talking like 100-degree weather in Fahrenheit in Britain. An event researchers found to be virtually impossible without climate change. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, claiming his hands were tied, approved a major fossil fuel development just this year, and Congress is still giving $50 billion every year
I want
to big oil for free.
How is it his hands were tied? He just, gosh golly, there were probably contracts or something that just a firm handshake, some donors,
Yeah, well, I guess we
some
actually
donors, regular game sort of.
we know what
Ah,
was meant. I
gee,
mean, it's just like
golly,
he had to. I mean, you remember
appease his
Joe Manchin?
overlords.
Yeah, Joe Manchin dragged his feet and got the deal
Appease his overlords.
yes,
That's what that means.
that there was going to be some appeasing of the big oil overlords.
And
that was
so
it.
that's not really a hands tying thing, is it? No,
No.
it's a lack of backbone thing, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what it is.
What do they call it? Lubner's disease.
Lubner's disease.
And,
poor fella had no spine.
yeah, and so, well, you know, it's a lack of imagination too. I mean, they just can't imagine saying, you know what, we need to stop. Thanks for all the money, guys, but from now on, we're not going to allow AR-15s to be sold to people who want to shoot up school kids, and we're not going to give free money to big oil, and we're just going to save our lives. Okay, guys? They can't imagine doing that because
no, they can't.
They would have to get reelected some other way. They would have to get reelected the way
by popular support.
Yeah, the way Bernie Sanders does it. And everyone knows that Bernie Sanders is a big commie. Anyway, the International Energy Agency. Did you know there was an International Energy Agency? Estimated that the so-called consumption subsidies for fossil fuels doubled in 2022. They went up, they doubled, because that's what we needed to do worldwide, was give more money to big oil, and we did it. They now get $1 trillion. So I made a little song. Hail to the billionaires, hail to the BlackRock CEOs, hail Bezos and Vanguard, Musk and Charles Koch too. We love to kiss ass till we're fired or dead. For lifelong poverty, our hearts have no dread. Burn the planet, starve the children, rah, rah, rah. Go capital. I thought that,
it's catchy.
Yeah. You know, if you can't beat them. Democracy Now! Said that the Pentagon said Thursday an accounting error. The Pentagon said Thursday, without laughing, an accounting error led to overestimate the value of arms shipments to Ukraine by the Biden administration as part of a $44 billion military aid package approved by Congress last year. The Pentagon said that by correcting the error, it could send another $3 billion worth of weapons to Ukraine. Oh, hey, guys, look at this. We found $3 billion. It was just behind the filing cabinet.
You know.
We could have sent that to Ukraine. The White House has requested $842 billion. You know, those numbers just become nothing after a while. It's like, how much is a billion? It's incomprehensible almost, but it's like,
war is a racket.
What's 842 billion? What's another 3 billion? Military spending is part of its federal budget for fiscal 2024. We get to do it again. We can find another 824 billion next year, and you know it'll be more.
But you know, you can't ever find that kind of billions of dollars.
That was just where I was going to go.
Yeah, you can't ever
our
find that.
Our soldiers are getting food stamps. Our soldiers, wearing their goddamn uniforms, are standing at goddamn lines at goddamn food banks, getting goddamn second-rate food. That's how much we value our soldiers. Now, I'm an anti-imperialist, and I think we have too many goddamn soldiers. But holy crap, that's just mean and ugly when we do it every day.
Well, and I was going to say, you know, about the spending for seniors, about the spending for our cities and infrastructures, about the investment in green technology, about an urban jobs program. We don't have any money.
You know who's not?
But you know who, you know, we could just maybe use that envelope they found behind the filing cabinet for the good of the people instead of lining the pockets of the arms dealers.
Yeah. And you know who's not eating expired Bisquick? Elon Musk.
The
Pentagon, I mean, the big story to me is that news anchors across the nation, and apparently including Amy Goodman, I'm not going to chew on her for this, but apparently including Amy Goodman, can read that line about the $3 billion without cracking up. I think you can read it with a straight face. The Pentagon has never passed an audit. They are estimated to have $3 trillion sitting around that they can get their hands on when they feel like it. 3 trillion? I'm sorry, I meant 1 trillion. 1 trillion. Let's not exaggerate things. And it's like the world record of corruption. There has never, ever been anything as corrupt by the numbers as the Pentagon. And they've never passed an audit. And, you know, I can kind of see why. I've never been able to press hard questions against a mugger either. You know, you just kind of look right down that barrel and you say, yeah, whatever. That's what's going on. So there you have it. And speaking of the military, the land of Israel hath raised its voice, O Lord, to shout death to Arabs. They can shout it on the best state-of-the-art speakers too, because 150 billion of your tax dollars goes to Israel for free. But it's not all wasted, because Israeli soldiers come to the U.S. and particularly to the Portland Police Department to show them how to use all the best riot gear to gas and stomp Portland anti-racists into a bloody pulp. That's efficiency for you. It only costs 150 billion, and you know, tear gas. It's a growth industry, and so that was all the headlines that I had. And I was, as you can tell, I'm kind of in a mood this morning, possibly because I was sweating all last night.
Excuse me.
It would have helped if I'd put the fan in the window. You know, I should have done that. But man, it was pretty pretty hot for a May cloudy morning in Portland. But I survived, so here I am.
Significantly less outside of our room, dear.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we have a room that sort of concentrates heat. That's great in the winter.
We do, but I mean, honestly, it did get down to 16. That's you know, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's not that atypical for this time of year.
Yeah.
Says the Portlander.
Yeah. Well, you know, the one
but
aspect
of
global
putting
warming.
the fan in the window would be good.
I was just reading about this, and therefore I'm now an expert. The low temperatures are too high across the world, and this is one of the things that has kind of slipped attention because it doesn't cause an immediate disaster. But when the low temperatures are too high, you know, worse than we are having right here, I admit.
Yeah, because this isn't bad.
Yeah, this isn't bad. Okay.
Like, honestly, not bad.
I hate sweating. You know, things happen. I mean, for example, if you've been too hot during the day and you go to bed and you're aged, especially, your chances of surviving till the morning are considerably reduced if the temperature, you know, in your bed where you're at does not drop to an adequate amount. And what that amount is depends on what you become acclimated to. A climate acclimated to. It makes a difference. It also makes a difference in terms of moving the spring line north. The bugs just don't get frozen as long or as hard. Other fauna are coming north. The tree line is moving up on the mountains. Things are changing, and not so very gradually. And this is, as I was mentioning last week and the week before that and the week before that, this is a year that there will be dramatic things. There are dramatic things happening. And
there have already been dramatic things. Are you talking about dramatic things more in the States than they were last year?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, more dramatic floods and fires and such things.
Because we've had those.
And probably hurricanes, although hurricanes are tricky because a hurricane is the heat engine. So it's not just whether there's heat in the ocean. And there's a lot of heat available for ferocious hurricanes. But it's also whether that heat manifests in the forms of shear winds. Shearing across the tops of those hurricanes and preventing them from happening, which might happen. Might be no hurricanes this year, who knows? But there was an event in Florida that drowned Fort Lauderdale, and it had nothing to do with the hurricane. And that was one of the things that made it more remarkable, is that it was just a different kind of thing. All this water started coming out of the sky. People started boating around because that was the only choice they have, and there was no hurricane necessary. You didn't even have to go there.
It was just torrential rains.
Yeah, so we'll see how that comes out. Whatever it is, it ain't going to be good.
And there's also the torrential rains that are happening currently in Italy that have killed many people, several people, yesterday. And so we're watching, again, extreme weather that has not, all the 100-year storms that seem to be happening now every year, everywhere. And so when do we go? Right, Joe Biden, your hands aren't really that frickin' tied when it comes to giveaways to the fossil fuel industry. You know what really ties our hands is the inevitable consequences of continuing our current course, right? That's what really ties our hands. We have to make change. we don't have a choice, or we don't have a planet left. I mean, it's really kind of down to that.
Yeah, and I get it that it's politics. I mean, I know that deals were made, but we need to get extreme. We need to
So,
get
I mean,
extreme.
because it is getting extreme,
Yeah.
is my point. Bill McKibben has written about the, how do we say, absolutely frightening uh, facts that have been just uncovered, if you will. In March, the sea surface temperatures off the east coast of North America were as much as 14 degrees higher Celsius than the average temperature of the North Sea's surface between 1981 and 2011. So there was a 30, 81, 91, 2001, 40.
Been 42 years.
There's
Yeah.
40, well, there was a 40-year average, 81 to 2011. And the temperatures measured last March were 14 degrees above that 40-year average. That's rapid. And as the seas heat, they become the engine driving the extreme weather events that we've been watching. We've been watching play out around us. Um, so this is really troubling. The extreme weather patterns that we've noticed over the last couple of years here in North America and around the world. And I have to say, South Asia has been getting hit with extreme weather that is related to climate catastrophe for the last decade. But now it is also reaching North America. And people have started paying more attention to it, but it's still like the politicians think they can kick the can down the road a little bit. And, McKibben and others are pointing out that the can is done. We cannot kick it any longer. We have such extreme things happening right now, like the ocean's 14 degrees hotter than it was during its 40-year average just 10 years ago.
It was 90 years ago, just about, that Congress was meeting in Washington D.C. and was stonily ignoring relief for the Dust Bowl, and ignoring those very dark, very huge dust storms. We call them haboobs now, I guess, that had blown up in the Midwest, and one of them actually made it to Washington, darkened the sky, and put dust everywhere. And that was for the 1930s Congress enough to actually get them to move. I wonder if it would be enough now. Certainly, it would not budge the Republicans. And that brings me to Republicans. What are we going to do about Republicans? They can't be negotiated with. I think we need to call them out, freeze them out, block them, draw attention to them, draw attention to the fact that they have become a massive fascist bloc. Right now, the Republicans are walking out in the state house again, and there was a law that was passed that penalizes them so that they cannot just walk out and refuse to do their jobs anymore, and then run for Oregon State representative again, or state senator. So several of them have now done it. It's like they have to be gone for 10 unexcused days to trigger that. And this was a perfectly legal plebiscite style, state initiative that passed, and they're just whining mightily about it, talking about the tyranny of the majority. But they knew that it was the law. They saw it coming. They cannot now run. And they're saying that they're going to go to the Supreme Court, which is interesting because they, have so captured the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is so corrupt that maybe they've got a chance in undoing the will of the people in terms of demanding that state representatives actually go to the state and represent. It'll be interesting to see how it happens. But, I know that y'all are good about pushing back against fascists, but this society has just got to push back a lot louder and harder.
It's true. Here, there, and everywhere. as DeSantis gears up and has now declared that he has thrown his hat in the ring, as if there were any doubt about that happening, and how he is, in fact, you know, providing a different fascism than the fascism Trump provides. It's like competing fascists, and we all lose, right? And so it's so important to call it out for what it is. People have made the observation that when we talk about strongmen, we think about Mussolini, we think about Stalin. I think this was a Chris Hayes line from last night. We don't think about Mr. Puddinfingers yucking it up, in a folksy kind of style on the campaign trail. But in fact, be not duped. He is as fascist as they come, with the idea that his brand of fascism calls out books to ban, calls out what bathroom one can use, calls out really a deep inreach into the most private aspects of our lives. This is fascism, and we got to call it what it is.
When times are stressful and confusing, fascists really metastasize because fascism allows you to switch off that part of your brain. It allows you to switch off your prefrontal cortex and just move on mass cruelty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very appealing, apparently. And I've come to recognize just, from various events. I remember seeing it during the beginning of the Gulf War. There's a certain gleeful, bug-eyed look, the fascist look. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And I see that face happening more and more around the nation right now. I'm starting to take a preacher's tone now, but it's a deep, dark sickness, and it's happening. It's spreading terribly right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to wake people up. We need to shout in their face, "Fascist, wake up!" You were being fascist, and there's no way to deny it. There's no way for DeSantis to deny it.
Yeah, and it's important. It's important that we call it what it is. As somebody, as a cis gal, who has been questioned about why I'm using the women's room for the last 30 years of my life, I can only see that getting worse, right? As people start feeling more emboldened to try to gender check folks. This is not good. This is not good for anyone. This is fascism. It's just government overreach in a very classic sense. The idea that all women should be removing period trackers from their phones because it's no longer safe to have a public record of when you actually might be fertile at this time in American history. What does that mean? We don't have freedoms, right? They've always been a little illusory, but now they're even less than they had been previously. I sort of see this last couple of years, the pandemic years, the last of the Trump years and on, as a time of it's like the curtains have fallen and we see the naked machinations of what really runs this country, and it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It is just ugly, and we must do better than that for each other and for this planet.
And it's reducing half of humanity to the status of livestock.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it Frick the industrialist that said that he didn't worry so much? It wasn't Frick. I always want to say it was Frick.
The guy Frick hired. Yeah, I know you're gonna
but
say
it's
anyway.
He doesn't worry about people because he can always hire half of them to shoot the other half.
Yep.
It was the associate industrialist of Frick, whose name will come to me 3 minutes after we end this live stream. So
I think it's time to turn to tarot.
I think so. I'm so sorry, people. I have done all of my things this morning, and still, welcome to it. Welcome to my springtime allergies. So sorry. So what the tarot has for us today. we have the Four of Pentacles.
Oh, it was Gould. Okay.
We have the Star inversed. And we have the Five of Pentacles inversed. And so, what does this all mean? What it means to me is we are doing okay with each other. We're doing okay with ourselves and our, as this deck puts it, we have our treats in order.
I love that one.
So that we can not really rest on our laurels, but for the moment we can take a deep breath and look a little deeper about what we want to do, where we want to go. And it's important to remember that we're good, we're okay, and we deserve all the goodness that the universe can offer us. We can use our intuition to guide us in good ways, and we need to remember to be receptive to that. We deserve it. A lot of times, especially if we're caring, socially justice oriented folks, if we're doing okay, there's sometimes some of us, I've seen it, have a little bit of a guilt response, have a little bit of a I got to shut down now. I don't really deserve this. I don't really, I can't really justify stuff. And we start to block out the fact that we are really good, that we are good people. And this card gives us the opportunity, the inversed Five of Pentacles gives us the opportunity to really, it's a little wake-up call to look at what really matters to you right now. It's a little call against hoarding. It's about letting go of things you can let go of to make room for good relationships, good connection to your own spirit and your own sense of will, good connection to each other, right? To the relationships that we form. It's time to really pay attention to things that matter to us in a very real sense. Not like, oh my gosh, I really love my collection of action figures, because I do. I got like 4 of them and they're cool. But do they really matter to me in the grander scheme of things? No. Honestly, no, they don't. Right. And so we all have those things that we kind of collect, we kind of hoard, and we're kind of like, yeah. And it's okay to do that. I'm not saying we gotta, eschew that, but it's definitely, these cards together add up to be, pay attention to what truly matters in your life. And you find time and time again that what matters are relationships. And so you've got a moment where we can sort of look around, take a breath, and look at how we're sharing and look at how we're receiving messages from the universe. Okay.
I like the message from Jabara. Eschew. That's just what you've been saying.
Eschew. Yes, it's all there. Thank you all so much. That's what I got for you this morning. Lovely to spend some time with you.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. Please do subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button for this video. Share it with your friends and family. And what else do I say now? Yeah, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you too can be notified when we go live.
Let's make an outro with the Tin Toys too. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Our love goes out to you and to all the ships at sea. Bye-bye. We're leaving on to get planes.